Today on Nova Legends podcast, we're talking John Champe soccer with two amazing players from that team. I don't think they're going to be playing with them next year, but they helped them win the Class 4 state championship this year in such an awesome way. I have Ayda Pannell. Ayda is as a defender, at least for high school. She plays center back. I think she's played midfield before. She was first team All-Met, just had a tremendous year. I know her mother from a very courageous cancer battle that she shared with us online on Facebook. That's how I met your mom. She's amazing. And Mya Towns. Mya is in the national pool for U17, I believe, with a shot to go to the World Cup this summer. She didn't get a chance to play as much with the high school team this season because she had commitments with the national team. And also, I believe you're with some injuries, but you're able to get on board in time to help win the state title. Didn't make All-Met because I don't think you played enough games, but you were first team All-State last year and just had another amazing year. Both Mya and Ayda are going to go to Georgia next year, University of Georgia, and I believe you guys are going to leave after fall semester and start in January, I believe. So also asking some questions today is my good friend Anna Prillaman. Anna was 2000 Player of the Year in basketball in Virginia. Had an amazing career at UGA. She's one of my sponsors. She has a business that helps folks run their rental property business. But she's going to listen to some of your guys' answers and ask some questions of her own. But guys, thanks for doing this. Nice to meet everybody.
It's nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Well, first I want to talk about, going to Georgia and starting early. So, Anna and I were talking about this yesterday, and, your senior year in high school is a very special time because I remember when my son was a senior, he made a run to the state final, and then he had prom, graduation. It was just it was just exhilarating those last couple of months of school and to share that with your classmates. I know Anna won a state title with Midlothian in her senior year, which is a very special way to go out. But you guys are going to pack up and go to Athens, Georgia, to an amazing soccer program. So what went into that decision to go early? And are you concerned, or is it going to be disappointing not to share some of those senior moments you're going to have with your classmates?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's hard to kind of give up that senior year, but I think the good thing for us is that we've had a very solid friend group for the past 3 years of high school. So I feel like we kind of know that we've experienced a lot of what high school is. And at least in my case, I'm ready to go. I feel like I can perform at that level. I feel like I'm ready to kind of spread my wings and fly a little bit. And so I'm just lucky enough to have that support group for the last 3 years. And so this fourth year, luckily we do probably get to come back for prom. We painted our parking spots together. We did as much of the senior stuff as we could before we're trying to get ready to pack up and go. And so I think just kind of getting those things done early and making sure we try to spend as much time with our friends that we have before we leave is a huge part of it.
Yeah. And I think from a soccer standpoint, we've kind of accomplished everything that we came here to do. I mean, we won a state title already, so it's kind of just a perfect way to end our high school careers. And I feel like we're going to do some great things at Georgia, and it's our time.
Yeah. Anna, would you have wanted to go to UVA early if you would have gotten the opportunity?
Well, it's interesting. I did want to ask a follow-up question
Sure.
about just that type of mindset because I didn't even think that way. And you all's generation is so smart with personal branding and making smart decisions for yourself for the future, for your family. So kind of how would you rank, what variables did you have to talk through with your parents and how would you rank them? I mean, the elephant in the room is we've got NIL now and I didn't have that back then. So does that type of thing, maybe Ayda, we'll start with you, come into that conversation with mom and dad?
For me, the conversation was never really NIL deals. It was more, am I ready to do this? I feel like once I figured out that I was ready to kind of leave and kind of start my own brand and get myself out there more, it kind of just pushed me to want to go even more and kind of start my journey early. And I think it's probably the best decision for me because it gives me kind of a head start and it gives me a opportunity for people to see me more than they have this past year and years to follow.
Yeah. Maya, did you want to follow up on that?
Oh, yeah, of course. I think for me that it's kind of the same exact thing. It's really just about I was ready to kind of show people what I could do on a bigger stage. And I think that like for Ayda and I as well, like we both accomplished a lot on the club stage. We obviously accomplished a lot at the high school stage as well, winning a state championship. And so I feel like Ayda said, we kind of accomplished what we needed to accomplish here. And I think that my parents and I were really keen on that and just making sure that I was ready for it because it is such a big space and it is such a big change from high school to college in general, and not to mention it being 4 states away. So I think that it was really just about comfort, making sure that we knew that it was the right time for us to go because everybody has their own timeline, everybody's on their own schedule. And so I feel like now was kind of our go ahead after especially winning that state championship, knowing that we could do it.
Well,
It
Anna and
sounds
I talked
very
about this yesterday. Did you have to take some classes in advance to be able to do this? Because obviously, your English, you got to have that last year of English, or the things you had to do academically to make sure you're in front of things so you can leave in December?
We both took one class during the summer, and then we're both taking 2 online classes during the fall semester. And since it's not as big of a class load and we're doing it online, it allows us to finish in a faster time frame. And so since we're both online, it's like a 10-week period of just straight work. And so you work every single day. There's like timelines for each week. And so it's just like about getting those online classes done. And then I think it's only 3 left to finish. So.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it also helps that we kind of prepared ourselves a little better, I feel like, than some other people in previous years. We kind of stayed on top of our work as well as balancing the soccer aspect of it. So it kind of just gives us an advantage.
Sure.
I'm impressed by how thorough you all's thought obviously went into about it, and it wasn't just knee jerky. There's a lot of eyes on you too, because you're so very talented. Was there a lot of opinions thrown at you because of that? Did friends want to chime in? Did general Twitter bots or whatever, whatever you want to call those communities online want to put in their opinion? So I'm interested to hear about the noise around that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my family was always very supportive about it. Because once I made up my mind, I was kind of set. I wasn't really gonna change it for anybody else. So my parents understood that. But for a little bit of my teammates and some of my friends, it was a little bit hard for them to understand. Well, not necessarily my teammates, but my friends. It was hard for them to kind of understand why I was going early. And kind of just like they just don't want me to leave so soon, but it's just our time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
sorry.
It was kind of the same. No, you're good. It was kind of the same thing for me as well. Like just the friends thing was definitely hard, but I think right after I committed, almost immediately there was those conversations about it because within the national team pool, almost everybody is like graduating early or going early. And so I think that kind of did also influence my decision a little bit, not just because like I wanted to keep up with them, but because I was like realizing that I am away from home a lot already. And so it was just kind of the realization of it's like Ayda said, it's our time to go. And so uh, everybody had their own input for sure. My family, my friends, obviously our friends are not very thrilled even still with us leaving early because we're going to miss a lot of the senior year that we've been planning for the past 3 years. But it's just the reality, like we realize that it's go time and we know that we can do it. And so that's all that we can do now at this point.
Yeah. Well, you see a lot of this with football because football is a fall sport. So therefore, a lot of guys who played football and basketball but are signed with football would skip their basketball season their senior year, and their basketball teammates would be really upset about it. I think in football you're going to see 75% or more of the players begin to do that. It's the spring teams that are just starting to do the same thing. I talked to a doctor a few weeks ago, a fellow UGA alum like me and Anna, William Hill, and he was one of the first classes to do this. And this is like, I think around 2008, 2010, he was one of the first, I guess I call it mid-year graduations. And I asked him, did you miss those special moments where everyone's a first year? Like Anna and I were at UVA, everyone's like moving into the dorm, you get to know everyone in your first year dorm because you're all, doing this together. And I said, don't you feel like you missed out on those special moments? And he said, well, it was different, but we did have that special moment of being the small group that was together. We all, were in the mid-year starting group together, and we had that different bond. So it was very special, but it was very different. And so that was interesting that he still had a very special memory of his first year of college, even though he was, he was still a senior by age.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I think we both realized that too. Like going into it, it's going to be very tough because I think in our class, there's only 4 of us going early. So
Mm.
we'll all end up rooming together. And I think that bond's just going to be insanely strong. And we had one that was going to move in with us as well, but she's now already at school. So it's kind of like good for us as well, because now we already have that relationship with her too. So we can kind of get acquainted a lot faster. And it's really good to be able to have that without the outside noise of the rest of campus being there as well. So it's kind of just us, and it's just what we need to do and get done fast, and we can focus on that rather than like the social aspects of it, really.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think that having somebody go early before us, before our 4, kind of gives us some guidance, to know that everything's gonna be okay. It's all gonna work out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely going to work out. So one thing I was going to say, what are some of the other decision points that you made in choosing the University of Georgia? Now, you guys are from John Champe,
Mhm.
and John Champe is one of the most diverse communities you'll ever see. I mean, I think it's definitely majority minority, but it's like 75% minority. Unbelievably diverse community. Now you're going down into the deep South, and Georgia's not the way Georgia was or felt when I was going to school, but it is the deep South. Have you guys thought about going down to Athens in a kind of in a different environment than Aldie, Virginia, in Loudoun County?
Definitely, definitely. It's something that not even just us as people going to Georgia think about, but like our families, at least I know mine for sure, is like, are you sure? Like it's Georgia. That's not just like Atlanta. That's like Georgia, Georgia. And so I was like, I mean, I feel really good about it with the soccer team. Our soccer team is very diverse, and they accept a lot of people, and it's people from all different backgrounds, all different types of people. And so I think that it also kind of coming from John Champ gives us that very open mind to welcoming new people and meeting new people, because that's what we have to do every single day when we go to school, because there is so many different, not even just like races and everything like that, but there's so many different personalities that kind of have to mesh together into this one big melting pot that creates John Champe High School. And so I think that taking those aspects of it and that mindset to Georgia is going to be very, very beneficial.
Yeah.
Ada, do you want to add to that, or?
I mean, Maya basically said everything that I
Yeah.
was gonna say. So I think, yeah, just going in it with an open mind, knowing that the team is so close already at Georgia and having some connections already there, it's gonna make it a lot easier, and it's gonna be interesting, but it's gonna be cool to see how we all connect with each other.
Yeah. So Anna's from Richmond, and you guys, we might not think of Richmond as South, but Anna will tell us. I interviewed her a couple months ago, and she reminded me how South Richmond can feel. And obviously, she has a different point of view than you guys would have. But some of the challenges you have, she experienced on her basketball team and at UVA as well. But obviously, from the other point of view, Anna, what do you think about 2 kids from an incredibly diverse part of Loudoun County going to the deep South, going to Athens, Georgia for college?
Right. I mean, I think we have something in common, because if you want to be really stereotypical about the sport of basketball, it's for African American women. And if you want to be really stereotypical about the sport of soccer, which I think is changing faster, but it's for white women. So I sat in a team where I was the minority. And I haven't looked at Georgia's roster, but maybe you guys will be. Was that even on your radar because I'm sure everybody came after you guys. So you had offer after offer after offer. Was that line item something that you really needed to look at, or no big deal, we'll get along with whoever?
I mean, for me, I did want to go to a diverse school, but my family is majority white. So I know how to like just interact with people. I think coming from having both sides of Black culture and white culture, it's easier for me to kind of communicate with everybody. So if it wasn't super diverse, that was okay with me as long as I was accepted and felt welcome. And that's what Georgia did. They made me feel welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was really the same way as well because at least for me growing up in Loudoun County, throughout all of elementary school and middle school, I was the minority. I was probably one of two African American kids in my class. I was always one of two or three African American girls on my team as well. So I think that that kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone too, to kind of already be acquainted with that. At the same time, though, like my family has been so supportive with me, and all the schools that I visited, we did check that out because it is something that I do really need to feel safe in, feel comfortable in. And I think that once we hit Georgia, it was like comfortable enough not only being greeted by an African American coach and him realizing the struggles that I would have to go through, but then also being greeted by the team, and like they do not care who you are, what you look like. They are all just there for you, and as long as you bring out your personality, what you look like on the outside doesn't matter. And I think that that was very, very important to me as well, because it's just so powerful to see how people can rally around one common thing because of a ball and a goal. Like, and so that's like just something that I really, really leaned into, and Georgia was actually home. Like that's where I felt most at home.
Oh, that's awesome.
So speaking of stereotypes in Georgia, I think football. Big theme there. So I'm sure the social scene is great. And I had that experience in college. There were some athletes that weren't interested in that scene at all and were very, very, very focused. You all's generation is way more in tune with life balance, mental health, and the things you can do to help with that. So is football and the social experience that can happen down in Athens going to be part of your journey?
For sure. I know it'll be part of, we've talked about it. Like we'll go out and have talks about Georgia. Like we sit down and talk about Georgia for hours. And so I feel like everything that we do in our daily lives, like the first thought we go to is like, oh, like this is going to be so cool when we get to Georgia. Like, cause we're both also football managers for our high school team currently. And so like we love football. We're so excited to see kind of what that is on an elevated stage, because how it is at John Champe is like multiplied by a million when you get to Georgia. So I think I know like we're, at least I am, and I know Ayda probably is as well, very excited for that.
Yeah, I am. I always wanted to go to a bigger school for that football scene. I've always wanted to just be a part of something really crazy, really fun. And I think Georgia's definitely going to do that, especially now that they're getting like even better than they used to be.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I want to get back to Georgia, but I did want to ask you guys a question about the Olympics that just wrapped up. It was an amazing Olympics for African American soccer players, females. They scored the most important goals. It was a breakout Olympics, and kind of in that regard. Was that lost on you guys? All the women of color that were able to score important goals and play important minutes.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think that it definitely resonated because I mean, triple espresso, as they like to call themselves, it kind of it shows us that it's time for us to start representing on a bigger stage, and like it's also letting us know that hey, it is okay to move forward in this. It's not like it's going to be only, or it's going to hinder us so much just because of how we look. And so to be able to see that and to see how powerful we could be on a big stage, I think that that was more powerful than even watching them win, because to have them win is one thing, but then to have them win led by a front line full of African American women and a roster that is heavily African American as well, I think it just shows you how much the sport is really changing and how much we're a part of that next generation.
Yeah.
And Ayda, also they're mixed. They're also mixed. At least two of them were half white, half black.
Yeah.
Players. Yeah.
I mean, I think the sport's really changing. It's becoming more and more diverse every year. And I think people are starting to see like what African American women and what mixed women can do. It's not just about what you look like anymore. If you're good, you're good. So I think that really has like an impact on the game. And I think the game is really changing and really improving, and it's taking a step forward.
Yeah. Well, Anna may have an opinion on this, but do you think the success was just that that these black women were finally given the opportunity and they in a long time to show what they could do, or do you think it was just the right players that were in place, or maybe it was a combination of things, the right players, and also the right mindset?
Yeah. I think it was both, honestly. I think they've worked really, really hard to be the players that they've become. But I also think it took someone to see that and recognize um, that it didn't matter what they looked like. It really only mattered that they could get the job done, and that's what they did.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I think that you have to have a really nice balance of the two because obviously them being African American women does play a part in it because people aren't used to seeing that on the bigger stage. And so I
Mhm.
think that, I mean, not only Emma Hayes, but all the coaches that came before her as well, kind of realizing that, like we said before, the sport is changing and they have to change with the tide because if you don't, I mean, you're going to lose out on opportunities like we just had at the Olympics. Like, imagine if they didn't give those people a shot, didn't give them that chance to shine on the biggest stage, and the outcome could have been very different. But I think it's also just that they're amazing players. They've shown what they can do in NWSL, and people are seeing that these are the best players that, or the best forwards that the U.S. probably could offer.
Absolutely.
With you guys being as big time as you are, do you know any of them? Are you in touch with any of them? Or do your paths crossed at tournaments or anything like that?
I mean, a couple of times I've gotten the chance to train with Trinity Rodman once or twice, and she used to be involved with a very good friend of mine as well, so I was able to meet her through that. But then the rest of them, I wish I had the opportunity to meet them because I just feel like they're incredible people.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't met a lot of them personally, but I have some very good friends who play in the NWSL. So I really, really hope that I can meet them one day and hopefully even like play on the same field as them because that would be insane.
Maybe even slide tackle them, right?
Yeah, maybe win the
bring
ball
it,
from them.
bring it down. Well, let's get back in deciding to go to Georgia. How important was it that you guys both were going? I mean, independently, would you have each gone to Georgia, or was it a package deal that you guys really wanted to play at the next level together?
I think that us both going did have a part in it because we knew that we would feel comfortable with being able to have somebody with us there. And so I think that that probably could have played a part in as well. But it's really just about the community that Georgia has to offer. And I think that because I ended up committing first. And so I was kind of like pushing it. I was like, hey, you have to go on your visit. Like, did you like your, and I was checking up on her entire visit. I texted her when she got there, when she landed, how she was doing. Then when she got back, I was like, so are we committing? Or so I think that it kind of just like us having that type of bond and being able to kind of feed off each other in that way, even if it was originally in a joking way. But to be able to have that and move that on to the next level, it definitely helps having somebody that you know from home and that you feel very comfortable playing with as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we were always going to stay in touch no matter what, but it kind of helped that we both have the same goals, the same dreams. And Georgia really just kind of sealed the deal for us. I feel like we always joked about going to the same school together, but for it to actually happen is something that is insanely cool. And I think it's going to make our friendship stronger. And I also think it's going to make the team stronger since we are so close. And since we play on, like I play defense and she plays in the attack. So it's going to be a very fun connection to kind of continue to build on.
It's better than like competing for the same minutes as
Yeah.
freshmen.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about Coach Keidane McAlphine. Did I pronounce that right?
McAlphine.
McAlphine. Okay, McAlphine. So he's really, I know he was at USC and he's been at the West Coast doing incredible things. He's come to Georgia, really turned him around, had a couple of the best seasons in school history. How would you describe his coaching style and also his playing style? Do you have a sense of that yet, or is it something that you're just learning about?
For me, I'm kind of still learning about it, but I could kind of get the sense that he was very driven. He wanted to attack, but also be mindful of kind of possession of the game and really like pounce on those opportunities when it happened. But I'm still figuring out the playing style. But I know it's been working, so I know it's very, very good.
Sure.
Yeah. And I think even just like watching it from afar, you kind of like start to pick it apart and see, where you would fit into that. And I think that that also played a big part in why I picked Georgia as well, because you have to look at the roster as a whole. You have to look at how they play, how like what their style is. And I think that for Ayda and I both, like, we do play a very fast pace of soccer. We play at a very high level. And I think that Georgia is very, very fit for that, because he does make sure that every player is in shape. Every player knows what they're doing at all times. And he also knows that, like, if somebody starts to get tired or if their legs start to go, like, they need somebody else to be there for a backup or things like that. And so I think that he does a very good job of managing minutes, managing players, realizing who fits where and how everything fits together as a whole. And that's going to be something that I'm ready to, like, peel back the layers of and really dive deeper into.
Sure.
So you guys are old enough to know that all of our coaches just impact us in such a profound way, from the time we were little through adulthood, personally, on the field, in games, stuff like that. So speak a little bit to the coaches you've had and the impact they've had on you, and then maybe what you're looking for with a relationship with your coaches at the collegiate level.
Yeah, definitely. I think that my coaches have been the absolute biggest part of my life, honestly, aside from my family, because they've all become family to me. And I'm very, very big on relationships. It's like my entire goal in life is to build relationships with people who I know are going to push me, are going to push me forward, are going to help me be the best version of myself. And I think that every coach I've had up until this level and even beyond this is going to do that for me. And it's really about them seeing you and seeing what you can do and helping you with what you can't. And I think that that's such a big part of it, because I feel like people don't really pay too much attention to like what you can do. They just try to focus on, oh, what are you not good at? Let's fix that up. But then they don't really, then you lose sight of what you've been doing for years. And so I think that all of the coaches I've had in my life have kind of found a very good balance between the two, and making sure that even on the field and off the field, I was where I needed to be. Like, mentally, they would check up on me, send me text messages. I still am in contact with every single one of them until this day, even with the amount of coaching changes I've had. Even in this past year, I've lost 3 coaches to different clubs, and I still keep in touch with every single one of them, just to make sure that, you know, they've brought me to where I am today. They've helped guide me to where I am. And so that's something that doesn't get lost on me at all.
Well, Mya, they all love you because you score a lot of goals for them. So they don't.
That could be part of it too.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was I have a very, very great support system around me. It kind of started within my family. My stepdad is actually one of my personal trainers. So helping me kind of just build a foundation to be the player that I am today, along with the coaches that have impacted my life. They've really set me up for greatness, and I feel like that's going to continue with Coach Keidane. I feel like he's not going to try to change my playing style, only improve it, and that's what I feel like I need, and that's what I've been getting. So I'm really excited to see what the future kind of brings.
Well, Anna, this is a real old-fashioned question, but I'm dying to see what Mya and Ayda, how they'll answer it. Is it matter these days whether it's a male coach or a female coach? Anna played with one of the icons in college basketball. Debbie Ryan was one of the first successful women's coaches in the game, and she's a true trailblazer. But obviously, there are a lot of great men coaches in the women's game and soccer and in basketball. But how about you guys? Is this something that players think about these days, whether the coach is a male or a female?
No, I mean, personally, I don't. I feel like if you can help me improve in my skill set, help me create the person I'm going to be for the rest of my life, I feel like if you're good at that, then you're good at that. And it doesn't matter what race you are, what gender you are, as long as you're a good person and you are a good coach that can lead us to big things. I think that's all that matters.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I mean, like, we've had both, and even at the high school level, our coach is a female. And so I guess that aspect of it, her being a female, does kind of help just with certain things that we may be going through in life, because they're more like in touch with emotions and helping you figure that out. But then at the same time, I feel like once you step on the field, the emotions don't matter anymore anyway. So it's really just about who's going to, like Ayda said, who's going to push us to be the best, who's going to make sure that we get up early in the morning to get out and train, who's going to make sure that they are there when we do want to get up and train. And so I think just somebody to support you in that way doesn't really matter whether male or female. I don't think that's something that people really think about now. I think, well, actually, some people might have a different view on it, but at least for Ayda and I, it's not really an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned earlier about Ada's mother, Jessica, and she's a very inspirational person. I watch her lift weights on Facebook. I mean, she is a pistol. She's just a very inspirational character, a very successful lawyer as well. Talk about some of the family members who have inspired you. You talked about the coaches that are inspiring you, but I have a feeling that your family's been very inspirational to you as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, my mom is my whole world. She's been like with me through thick and thin, honestly, not because she has to, but like we're honestly best friends, and she is the reason why I want to continue to play. I want to make her proud. I want to show her that her work has paid off. And I think that her and my grandparents definitely have been kind of my foundation of the person that I am and how much support that I've been getting from home. And the people that have come into my life that haven't always been there, like my stepdad, he has also helped me because, like I said, he was my personal trainer, but he's pushed me, and everybody in my family, honestly, has pushed me to kind of be who I am and like play my style and want to do big things because I know that I can do big things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm the same. Like my family is the absolute biggest support system I've ever had in my life. They are the reason I play. They are the reason I started playing. And even when I was younger, my cousin PJ, he would take my sister and I out onto the field. And originally, I was just not interested in soccer at all. My sister picked up the ball and she was running wild with it, and I was like, wait. Like I want to be like my big sister. And so I think that kind of seeing her develop and seeing her grow up, and she plays Division I soccer as well at Marshall University. And so I think seeing that she could do that on the biggest stage, and I train with her all the time when she comes home, just kind of like she's the absolute biggest, she's the biggest part of my life for sure. And I think that we talk every single day. We're very in touch with each other. We make sure we keep up, and like anybody will ask you, like we do not fight. I don't know what it is, but there's something about us that like we don't fight unless it's over soccer. And so I think just us having that relationship and seeing her being able to accomplish so much has led me to believe like I can do the exact same, if not more. And so she's always pushed me in everything that I've done. And so is my family. They always get me up early, get me out the door, and make sure that I'm doing what I need to do to accomplish the biggest things.
Yeah. And Ada, also, you have a sister, I believe, that plays on the team as well. Is that right?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Well, talk about your relationship with your sister.
Unlike mine, we do fight sometimes. It's all in good fun. No, I love her, honestly. She has really kept me going, and I wasn't gonna play this year or last year, but when she said she wanted to play, I was like, yeah, I'm not missing the opportunity to play with her because she is an amazing player and she makes me want to be better and help her be better. Because I know we both have so much talent, and we can really use it to better each other. And she's just kind of like she's my rock. Like I will not stop talking about her. I don't like not being next to her. Like we are the same person just in different bodies, and it's so fun to just grow together and kind of be amazing players together, but also be caring and loving towards each other.
Yeah. Anna has that in common with you guys, and that she had Division I athletes in her family as well. Anna, did that really push you to the next level to be a great basketball player?
Well, like we were talking about yesterday, Julian, I'm different in that my family and friends were the ones that took me kind of away from the world. So I'm interested to hear from you guys who in the friends or the family either humbles you guys and brings you back down to earth, because I'm sure a lot of people put you on a pedestal, or who were the friends that like I had great friends in the show choir and I wanted to go support them. And a lot of my friends in college were sorority girls that couldn't care less about basketball. So do you guys also have those figures in your lives?
Definitely. I
Yeah.
think like our friends do support us. Like they'll come to our high school games because we're always like we all go to the same high school, so we are in a very big friend group. They support us through everything, and then we'll go to volleyball games or whatever other sport they may be playing and like go to support them. But I think that at least like for me, even though my sister's the reason that I play and she's the one who pushes me the most, I think she definitely does humble me. Because like Ada, she's a center back, so anytime we go to train at the field, like she does not care that I'm 2.5 years younger than her. She'll truck me, she'll get in this, and she'll make sure like I know like I still have a lot of work to do. And I think that that's so important to have somebody who sees that you're doing well and can help put you on that pedestal and help celebrate your accomplishments, but then also let you realize like, hey, the job's not done and it's never going to be done. And so I think she's that person for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with Maya. My stepdad is kind of that person that humbles me. He is a freak athlete, actually. He played pro for a little bit. and he's pushed me to kind of just be amazing. And he never lets me forget that I still have work to do no matter what. And yeah, he just pushes me honestly. And it's really fun to train with him, go to the him because he's just an amazing person and he's an amazing trainer.
I don't know if he's a stepdad or is he a trainer. He's wearing two hats. It sounds like he wears more of
Both,
the trainer
honestly.
hat than the
No, he's in my life, he's a very, very important role. He's kind of played that father figure for me and opened me to the outside world,
Oh, good.
more of my Black side, because my family's very, very white. So it's nice to just open my culture and everything like that. So he's played a very important part in creating me as a person, as an athlete, but also as just a human being.
Well, Anna talked about friends who have different hobbies, different interests. How has it helped you guys to be involved with the football team? I didn't realize you guys are managers of the football team. That must have been a interesting. I'm sure they love having you over there and working with them. But how did that affect your guys' your experience at Champ?
I feel like it's made it better. I feel like it's opened us up to more male friends. It's kind of interesting to see how they interact with each other and how they interact with us. But it's interesting to say the least, but it's very fun. It's very amazing to know such great people, and they even support us in what we do. They hype us up all the time. They think they're better than us, but they're not. So it's kind of fun to have that competition with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They come to your games too?
Yes, they do.
They fill the sidelines. They've almost gotten kicked out of a couple games from getting so excited. So um, they really do push us, and like they support us in everything we do. Like Ada said, they tried to bring an 11v11 team to come play our high school team to see if they could win, and it just like it fell through because they got scared. They got too scared that they were going to have to see me and Ada on the field. But it really has broadened our horizons so much, and I think it's helped us to really realize that soccer is not the only thing in the world, and it's helped us to kind of even just focus on something else for a little bit, because since soccer has been such a big part of our lives, we do it every single day. We're in and out of the gym all the time. And so I think just having that break to kind of just interact with people, see how other athletes function in a space that's not really something that we're used to, I think is very, very important as well, because it's very different and very interesting, like Ada said, but it's so different.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about John Champ. So for folks that don't realize it, that part of Loudoun County has basically just been built over the last 10, 15 years. I mean, that was farmland up until 10, 15 years ago. So they've created this community, and it is unbelievably diverse. If you look at the stats, I don't think I've ever seen a school quite like that for, upper middle class community. It's very upscale, not upscale, but very diverse for being so upscale. Is it lost on you guys how unique your experience is, or is that really all you know? So you just kind of enjoy it because that's the experience only one you've really had.
Yeah, I think honestly, sometimes like we might get lost in it because we have for the last 3 years been this school that's just a school for everybody. And so I think like when we go to play other schools and we like look around and we're like, whoa, this does not look like Champ anymore. And like we kind of have to realize we're in a different place. I think it's been incredible though. I think Mr. Tyson, he had to leave us this year because he got a much bigger job, but he did an incredible job of making sure everybody felt like home at Champ, and he is family to us. He has supported us through everything. We saw him yesterday, gave us the biggest hugs, and like it's just little things like that that really make us realize like we are loved and we do have a very different experience with our high school than a lot of other people do. And like I just could never tell you a bad word about John Champ. I mean, they've been home to me, they've been family to me for the past 3 years, and it's like it's never gonna change.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I've met some of the best people at Champ that I've like in my whole life. It's very, very supportive there, very diverse, like you said, and it's just a very unique experience to have being two African American girls going to a high school in Loudoun County that is super diverse. We're very, very lucky, and it's very unique.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know that a lot of the athletic experience within a high school has to do with the big games and especially the rival games. Educate me as a Richmonder on the big rival for John Champ, and also take us behind the curtain on what is the motivation, what is said in the locker room before those big games, if you're able to say that publicly.
Um,
Yeah.
oh, do you want
Go
to
ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay, okay. I think Light Ridge for us is a really big rivalry. We had the Battle of Braddock last year. It was all the Light Ridge teams versus all the champ teams. To see who got like a trophy or something. I don't really know what it was, but they're a very big rivalry. And really what I say is, well, I say like we just gotta win. Like we gotta do what we gotta do. We do not want to be like clown per se after the fact. We really just gotta be ourselves, and we try not to get into our heads a lot because I know a lot of people can do that and it messes up the flow of the game. But going against them is very, very fun. They have some great players on there. One of the best games that I think we've actually played, and it was a really good game that they had given us. So
Yeah. Definitely Light Ridge is probably the biggest one as of now, even though they're very newly built. But the
Mhm.
reason that we call it Battle of the Braddock is because there is a street that separates our two schools. Like it's literally probably 5 minutes you could walk from one school to the other. And the reason it's such a big rivalry for us is because since a young age, like all of us went to middle school together, we all went to elementary school together, and so they kind of split us right down the middle when they created Light Ridge. So half of our friends are over there. So even though it is a big rivalry, it's more just because like we're playing our friends, we're playing people that we know, we're playing people that off the field we would see and just go and have lunch with on a daily basis. So I think it's kind of just a fun interaction, and it pushes us to be the best because like Ayda said, the best games we've played are against Light Ridge or maybe even against there's Freedom High School down the street as well. And so Light Ridge and Freedom are our two absolute biggest games. The football games are always crazy. Last year it was literally standing room only for both of those games because everybody shows up. The entire county comes out to watch these two very big schools clash against each other. And then even after the game, everybody goes to Glory Days and has a nice meal together. Like it's just so fun for us to see in Loudoun County that on the field we can be the worst of enemies and then off of it we can be the best of friends. So I think it's just such a great camaraderie to have.
Was it disappointing though this year when they moved you guys to Class 4? Because I know Freedom, they won state as well. Your club teammate Addie Hess and lots of really really good players. Addie's going to Penn State, obviously. But Class 6 obviously had a lot of rivals, Battlefield, lots of really good teams, and they put you guys in 4. And there's some good teams in 4, but it was different. Was that disappointing? Do you wish you guys could have stayed in 6, or it doesn't matter?
I mean, at least a little bit, honestly, just to kind of because our best game, I think our best game we've played in any of our 3 years was one of the games that we played against Freedom High School. And it was just an all out like bloodbath. Like honestly, like it was so bad. But I think both teams played very, very well in that game. And I think we both kind of put our best foot forward. So it kind of does suck to be able to still play Freedom, but know that that game doesn't really mean that we go to a state championship or that we don't. So it's kind of just like the intention of the game is a little bit different, but it's still great to play them, just not to have it mean as much in the terms of a state championship or not. But then at the same time, it's also great to see that both of us can have the same thing. Like Freedom won a state championship, John Champ won a state championship, and you just like would never have seen that before. And even though it kind of sucks, like we still get to have those nice battles with each other as well.
And also Brentsville won a state championship too.
Yes, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
yeah, I think for me it's just a little bit different because I didn't grow up in Loudoun County. I moved my freshman year. So I don't have the same connections that Maya does or some of my friends do to those two schools. So I feel like it didn't really change a lot for me, although the Freedom was an amazing team to play. I always loved playing them just because like everybody was like had these rivalries with each other. So I was like, okay, like this is so cool. Like let me join in. But I think when we moved to a different class, I think it just gave us a newer opportunity to, like Maya said, win a state championship and kind of win it alongside of Freedom. So it was kind of bittersweet, loss of rivalry, but we won a state championship. So
Absolutely. Um, we'll get back. We'll get back to Champ, but generally, how does your club career relate to your high school career? I mean, I know like my son was a good player, but he wasn't a college level player. So high school became more important late because he knew he wasn't going to play at the next level. So high school, the rivalries are everything, and so that meant a lot to him. But very high Division I players like you guys, how do you relate? How do you manage both high school and club careers, and how do they rank in terms of importance to your development?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was always club over high school only because that is where I got lots of my recruiting from. High school was always fun. This year, my club team didn't make it to nationals, so I had more time to focus on high school and kind of enjoy my last year playing. But I feel like club is just a little bit more competitive, a little bit more driven because we all want to get to the same thing. We all want to be divisions like 1, 2, 3 soccer players. And we all kind of share that same goal. Whereas high school is very fun. It gives me lots of confidence. And we're all just there to build connections and be great friends and create friends for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I mean, like, it's so different for so many different sports because I know like our football friends that we talk to, like high school is it for them. Like they're like, if I don't make the high school team, if I don't perform well in high school, like there might not be another chance for me. But I feel like it's so different because it's the other side of the spectrum for us. Like for us, if we don't play club soccer, it kind of, we lose that a little bit because you don't really see a lot of college coaches coming out to our high school soccer games, which is not an issue. It's just that something that we did have to realize and kind of get used to. Because club soccer is, like Ayda said, it's very, very competitive. It's every single game is a rivalry, technically. Like you play the same teams over again, and every game feels like that level of intensity that a rivalry does. And I feel like with high school, you do get those big games, those rivalry games, but then the rest of the games of the season, it's really kind of just working on your craft. And I feel like that's kind of what Ayda and I took from this season. I think going into this season, we kind of both said, like, you know, we're committed. We're kind of realizing that this high school season is really going to be about perfecting our relationship, perfecting our craft, and kind of realizing that this is what's going to be moving on to the next level since we don't play on the same club team. But then even still, like we play against each other at club. And I think it's so funny because the other day we played against each other and I caught myself like rooting for her a couple times. I was like, oh, good shot, peeps. And I was like, wait, but like, it's just like little things like that. But club has definitely been the base for where I am today and kind of pushed me through life as an athlete, soccer player specifically.
Sure.
I'm intrigued to hear if you guys have an opinion about the structure or the system of club soccer. As you guys know, I'm a basketball person. There's this thinking that AAU basketball is incredibly flawed because of parent behavior and bad coaches and not teaching the game correctly and scheduling too many games for these young kids, starting too young. It seems like USA Soccer has a better hold over the club soccer world in this country. But are there flaws that maybe could use some improvement from you all's, youngish perspective?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like you have the two different clubs. So with club soccer, there's ECNL, there's GA, there's ODP. Like there's so many different types of affiliations that you can play for. And so I think that it kind of gets lost on which one is the best and which one is where you want to be, where you want to play at. And so I think that's like just one thing that everybody kind of had to get used to because it was growing up, it was always ECNL and DA. And now there's so many other places where you can play at and nobody really knows kind of which one is where you want to be. And so I think that just kind of sorting that out and realizing where you feel like you're the best fit, because some teams are best fit for the GA, some teams are best fit for YSL, some teams are best fit for ECNL. And so it's just kind of navigating that realm of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Maya said it perfectly, honestly. I think once people start to realize that every organization has amazing teams, amazing players, and amazing coaches, it's going to be easier for people to not always associate one group as being the best. I think that best players can come from any club, any organization, and I think people need to start realizing that.
Yeah, it used to be like that. When my son first started playing, there was just NCSL, and they had 9 different divisions, and you go up and down based on your performance. So all the good teams were together. Now you can be on a great team, and then you won't play another great team that's 2 miles away from you, because you guys are in a whole different bracket, a whole different structure. So that's That's very frustrating. Well, let's get back to Champ a little bit. I wanted to talk about your coach, Jasmine Cardoza. Now, Coach Cardoza played for George Mason. She seems like she had a great story. I believe she grew up in Mexico when she was very young, and then she ended up at Broadway, a country town out in Shenandoah. Talk a little bit about Coach Cardoza, her style. She was I think she was a 4-year starter at George Mason.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
She's very, very good player, and she's so fun for us because I feel like she's never afraid to jump into a practice. Like we would have high school practice all the time. She never missed a practice without her cleats. She would always kind of like jump in and be like, "This is what I did at Mason," and she would just school half of us. So like we really needed to. I think that she kind of pushes us as well, and kind of she also brings us down to earth though too, because there's never a day where she's not yelling at every single person. She's always picking, like not really picking on people, but she knows that everybody has a place where they want to go. And at the beginning of the season, we tell her our goals, we tell her what we want to accomplish, and she holds us to those standards. So I think that since that's something that she came from, and she's always held herself to a very high standard as she should. And, being a 4-year starter at George Mason, like she wants people to accomplish their goals. She wants people to be where they want to be. And so I think that she does a very good job of kind of making sure we are put into the places, in the positions where we need to be, so we know where we want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Maya. She is a very, very great player. She's a great person. I love her so much. But yeah, she never lets us forget that she did play all 4 years as a starter. But she really keeps us down to earth. I feel like she holds us to our goals. If we tell her something, she's going to help us accomplish that. She's never going to not want us to succeed. And I think that's kind of why we won a state championship, because we had such a strong foundation of coaches, including herself. And she kind of pushes the team to be the best people and players that they can be.
Well, I read online, Ada, that she moved you from midfield to center back. Now, so is that a good move for you? Do you play? What do you play at the club level, and how did it impact your development?
Well, honestly, it was probably the best move for me because I am going to Georgia as a center back. And it kind of helped that I started in the midfield and then moved to center back because I've always played the 6, so I knew defensively what I needed to do. But being an attacking center back is like something that a lot of people don't see. So I kind of feel like that gives me like an upper hand. But yeah, it was the right move for me, and I think it kind of it pushed me to want to learn more about being a center back and how to improve my craft and improve my play with that. But I think she taught me very well, and it also like went over to club because I play center back now for club. I do like a hybrid, so I'm in center back on defense, and then I'm holding with attacking. So being able to play both of those positions at the same time is kind of something that a lot of people don't see, and it's something a lot of teams don't do. And it's something that a lot of players don't really know how to do. So I think having Jasmine kind of push me to be a center back in the beginning kind of gave me an opportunity to be a very diverse player, and something that a lot of people don't have, and something that a lot of people want.
Yeah, the good thing about being a center back is you're not surrounded when you have the ball. So in a way, it's a little bit easier in that regard.
It's easier. Yeah, I like it.
So, yeah.
I've noticed as an athletic director that this new generation of athletes have a lot more input with their coaches about decisions that maybe me or Julian as athletes were not allowed to talk about. Where I'm playing, when I'm coming out, drills in practice. I mean, pick a thing, combinations that you're playing during the game. Do you all's personalities do that with your coach? Does your coach allow space for that? How does that dynamic work within your team? Because obviously you're leaders, so someone's got to have a voice within the players. But I'm interested to hear how that works for your team.
Yeah, I think she definitely kind of, at least for at us at the high school level, she does leave a little bit of room for that, obviously in the most respectful way. It's never like we're going to yell at her and see kind of what happens if she changes it. It's nothing like that, but it really is like she is very open to our input. She's very open to what we have to say. And so I think that even during training sessions, sometimes there'll be a drill that like we know the majority of the group doesn't like. So we'll just like kind of hint at her and we'll be like, hey, like, can we probably switch it up a little bit? We've done this drill maybe a couple times or something like that. And so just like switching it up. But I think that it's always in a very respectful manner. It's never like we're gonna just scream at her, go all out, and be like, tell her what to do. But it's always just like kind of hinting at what the majority does like and seeing if she responds to that.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like me and Maya both know like our coaches are the superior people, and wherever they need us to play, we will play. So even if it's goalie, like if they need us there, we're going to be there. And I feel like having open communication with our coaches and building that relationship, it kind of um, creates a better relationship for us as leaders, because we feel like we can come to our coaches about anything like related to soccer or life, and kind of help lead our teams into just being open to maybe a new drill or being open to a new position, like things like that. So I think having that relationship where we can go to our coaches and be like, hey, like this isn't working, maybe we need to change it, kind of really helps the team come together and helps our relationship grow with the team and the coach.
Yeah, I got a feeling they're better off talking to Ayda than talking to Jessica. I think Jessica would tell that coach exactly what needs to be done. So I did want to ask you about you scored some goals for the national team. How does that feel in relation to scoring goals for high school or scoring goals for club? Is that a very different feeling when you score a goal for the national team?
I honestly think it is. I think that being at the high school team level, being at the club level, kind of goals come a little bit more like in abundance. Like we could score multiple goals in a high school game, but once you get to the national team level, it's all like 1-2 goal games, or it's like maybe it is a couple goals, but it's like you only get that one opportunity to put it in the back of the net. So I think that just having that and being able to put in a goal against another country and kind of knowing that goal has pushed my country forward to do something even bigger, I think it's a feeling like no other. And I think that especially just being able to have those opportunities and have an opportunity to play at that level is something that I'll never take for granted.
And you're in the pool for the World Cup coming up this fall, is that right?
Yes, sir. I actually leave for training camp for our last tryout, basically for the World Cup tomorrow. So
Oh, wow. Well, good luck. We'll definitely be thinking about you.
thank you so much.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go back to from World Cup to Champ real quickly. Now, I just want to talk about the season a little bit. Obviously, you lost to Freedom early. Freedom ended up being undefeated in Class 6 Champ. You lost to Light Ridge, your rival. I'm sure you love the fact that I brought that up. And they didn't have a winning record. Lost to Stonebridge. I'm sorry, tied Stonebridge, tied Woodgrove. But Maya wasn't playing in these games. She really didn't start playing until the postseason. Was there a sense the whole year that all you guys had to do is get to the postseason, get your chemistry, and Maya was going to come and you'd have a full lineup, it'd be different? Or was there concern during the year that you were losing a couple games, maybe you thought you guys could have won?
I feel like there wasn't really a concern. I knew Maya was going to come back whenever she could, and I knew that we had a very strong foundation going into the season, just because the girls were very nice and we had all kind of been playing together for a very long time. So it did suck that we did lose a couple of games, and there was a little bit of thought that maybe this isn't going to work out, but once we got to that point where we knew that we were good enough to get to where we are and to eventually win states, having Maya just kind of boosted our chances and energy a little bit more.
Yeah. And Maya, I'm sure when you came back, is it strange having so much time on the ball when you get back playing high school after playing, with the national team, and the speed of play is so fast?
Yeah, it's definitely different. And I think that even my first couple of games back, Jazz literally had to tell me, she was like, you are going too fast. Your mind is moving way too fast for what the pace of the game is allowing right now. And so I think just kind of reacquainting to that. It wasn't even like the high school pace was slow. It was just so much different than what I had been used to be playing for the past 5-6 weeks. And so I think that just kind of getting myself reacclimated was definitely a struggle. It was definitely a challenge. And I, in a sense, kind of felt bad because I was like, I've been away from my team for so long, and they've done all of this work, and I just kind of felt like I was not impeding on that, but I was like, I don't want it to be a case where I'm just like coming in and trying to help, but it's really not helping as much. So I think that just the mindset that I had to bring coming back after something like that, and like being back from so long, was definitely something that I had to get used to. Is something that my friends, my family, my teachers, and the other like players on the team, like Ayda, helped me with that so much because it was something that I was really struggling with when I first was coming back.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's exactly what I was going to ask about, is like the inner working of the team dynamic to bring in. I did that, but was with another sport. And I was so nervous about how are they going to think about me? Or they, you look like the most likable person in the whole world, but you don't want people to be mad at you for whatever decision you've made. But it sounds like it was a seamless transition after a little bit of bumpiness.
Yes, for sure. And they were all so welcoming to me. The second I got back, they were congratulating me and then we're like, hey, now let's get to work. You know what I mean? And so like that's kind of what I needed because I didn't really want it to be something where I was coming back and then focus shifts, because that's not at all what I was there to do. I kind of just felt myself like as an addition to this team that had already been doing amazing. And I was just grateful for the opportunity to be able to come back and play with them and have them welcome me back as well, because they were doing so well. And I just did not want to step on that. I did not want to mess that up because they'd been in this incredible rhythm, this incredible groove. And so for them to be able to allow me to come back and really welcome me to come back, it was like, it almost brought me to tears first game, because I was like, this is something that I feel like a lot of people wouldn't really get the opportunity to do.
Yeah, it seems like it could be a lot of pressure. Or a national team player all of a sudden coming back, and if they lose with you, you're like, what did I do? Well, let's talk a little bit about Woodgrove. You did beat them in districts and regionals, and then in the state, you won the games, at least on paper, pretty easily. Was there any drama in the postseason? I mean, did the games go as planned, or were there some really kind of nervous moments along the way?
Games definitely did not go as planned. I think the second we entered the postseason, we really were like, it's go time. Like, this is where we kind of step on the gas. But the season before, being able to play so many teams that were close to home and like teams that we knew how they played, the second you enter the postseason, you're playing teams from Blacksburg, you're playing teams from like all over the state where you have no idea what their style of play is. And so I think just it definitely was a struggle for us trying to get back to how we were playing in the preseason or in the regular season. But the games were full of drama. We had a lot of fans, thankfully, for our postseason run. And so they kind of added to that as well, because we had the environment that we were playing in was so much different than what it was in the regular season. So it kind of helped us and put us forward, make sure we kind of put on for our school, put on for our county. So.
Yeah, I think like Maya said, like we had no idea how some of these teams had played before. We'd never heard or seen them play. So even on film, like we can watch as many games as we want, but it's never gonna like be the game that we play against them. They could have had a really bad game on film and have an amazing game against us. So it was really unpredictable. But I think us being such a close knit group, we kind of all kind of calmed each other down. We kind of just took a breath and we knew that we were good enough to be state champions. And that's why we had gotten so far. And like having those fans come out and support us kind of gave us that extra boost, because it showed how much our school cared about us and how much our community cared about us. And it was just a really fun and beautiful environment to be in.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again. Me and Anna talked about this a lot, and guys, men. The reason why I do this podcast, the reason why I have all this social media, is guys, we never let go of our high school careers. I mean, we could talk about every moment of these games, and I found most female athletes, they play their sports and they kind of move on. And Anna, when I asked for this, when I interviewed her, she gave a beautiful answer about how when she won the state championship, her team was very diverse in terms of different types, and they came together and they had this undefeated season. It was just amazing. And I asked her, is that something that she's thought about over the years? Because you went on and she played college. But what about you guys? You guys are going to accomplish some amazing things in soccer. You're not done yet. Do you think the state championship will be something you'll look back on and it'll be a special moment? Or how do you think you'll look back on that? Because you guys are going to do so much amazing things in your careers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of it was a beautiful experience, especially because we had so many people be there, our friends and family and people who we loved and cared about. So I think that memory is going to last on forever. And I think that the players that we've met, we're going to be friends with forever. I think since there's so much social media out there, we're never going to lose touch with them. And I think that that first win like we crave more, like we want more of it. We want an SEC championship this year, or like we want it when we're at Georgia. So I think that like winning states was kind of our foundation of winning a really big championship, and we kind of just want more, and we're not going to stop until we get it, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
110%. I mean, like I said, we talk about this stuff all the time. And so we're already like planning what our celebration is going to look like when we do the championship, because we know that that's something that we can accomplish, especially now having us as a duo, as people who are going to the same college together, playing on the same team together in college. Like we already have that sense of winning, and we know that we can do so much more with it. And I think that this memory of a state championship, the feeling will never go away, because for us, thankfully, it wasn't just a state championship. It was the first one our school has ever won since we've been
Oh,
open.
is that right? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were just like, I think us being a part of history, and I think that's why it's like a little different for us, maybe because being a part of history and having that state banner be the first one that's ever hung up on our board, like that's always going to be something that we'll remember. And it's just time for new memories, though. And it's kind of like, see, hey, well, here's this state banner, but then what if we have a trophy to compare it to? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like just
Yeah.
making sure we never forget those, but moving on, and kind of, it's not going to be like we're going to remember every single detail of the state championship for exactly how we felt when we walked off that field. So
Exactly. That's a great
Every
answer.
state championship team has like dog competitors as leaders. And I'm going to guess that both of you guys are like this. Again, you seem like really nice girls, but I'm sure there's some fire in you that I would not even recognize you if I watched you play. So I'm actually interested to hear each of you assess the other on what comes out of the competitive fire in those intense moments in some of these championship games.
well, you will never see Ada have a quiet moment, especially when we're in a big game. Like she's always yelling at us to keep pushing us up. She's like, "No, you can get to that ball. You can get to that. Why are you stopping? We don't need to stop." Like she's foot on the gas 110% every single time we step on the field, especially in moments like that. And she's always like trying to find these little pockets the second we step off the field, for whether it's a water break or halftime or at the end of the game. Like she's always has something to say to make sure that we know, like what we can do better next time we step on the field, like what was going right, what was going wrong. And I think that even also you would not recognize her on the field. Like right now, she's like very sweet, and she always is off the field. But as soon as she gets on that field, like you will be looking up at her, because she will knock you down and she will not care about it. Like she will be right over you. But that's exactly what we need in a center back. We need somebody who's not going to let anyone in her house, and that's
Absolutely.
what she does for us. So.
Yeah, and that's actually really funny. But Maya and I, we kind of just bounce off of each other. Like I said, me being a center back, her being a striker, it works so perfectly for me to have somebody that I can trust. Like whenever she gets the ball, I know it's like, oh, she's gonna do something great. She's gonna score. She's gonna make a move around this person. Like I always trust her, like with the ball. And I think having that and having someone who can communicate with me where she wants it, it's really something of beauty, because a lot of strikers don't communicate with their center backs as much. And I think Maya's kind of our rock at top. She kind of really motivates people. Being a 17-year-old playing on the national team, like it's something very, very impressive. And it's something that a lot of people really wish that they could do. And for her to have accomplished so much and still come back to this high school season and still be at her like 110%, it's insane to see how she never falls off. And I think that that is something that a lot of people can learn from. And she's really a motivation, not just for me, but like for a lot of people on our high school team.
Well, that's great. Well, look, I mean, you guys are incredibly poised and insightful, as well as being, amazing athletes. It's obvious. Yeah, I want to thank you guys for doing this. Also, Anna, thank you for doing this with me. You're amazing at this as well. I wanted to end by asking you girls, what are your goals, non-soccer goals, at Georgia and beyond? What are some of the other things you want to accomplish in college and in life that have nothing to do with soccer?
For me, I really, really would love to be a neurosurgeon. I love learning about the brain, how it functions, how we function. I think people are just fascinating. So I'd love to do something with neuroscience or psychology. And I think that Georgia is a very, very smart school. And I think they're going to help me get that degree and hopefully go to medical school.
Wow.
and maybe one day like have my own business or something like that. But just building a foundation at Georgia, I think they're going to help me do that and kind of help me be a great person in the future.
Well, I'm sure you will be because you already are. How about you, Maya?
Oh, my biggest passion in life aside from soccer is engineering. I love STEM. I love to know how the world works. You can ask Ada like every single time something happens, I'm like, well, how does that happen? Like, why does that happen? I just have to know how the world works at all points in times. And I feel like engineering is kind of something like that because you peel back the cover and you get to see what the inner workings really look like and how everything is connected to each other. And I think that that's something that I've very, very much like want to continue when I go to Georgia. And like Ada said, Georgia is a very prestigious school. It is a place where I know that they won't let me lack on my schoolwork. They won't give me like a degree that's not useful for anything. You know what I mean? And so I feel like no college degree is, but they're definitely very big connections within Georgia as well. So me getting that degree from Georgia is going to open up so many new doors for me as well. And so I think that being an engineer is definitely the biggest goal that I want to accomplish leaving the University of Georgia. And then obviously just creating lasting memories and like making sure that I don't forget to live my life because we're all still kids. We're all still learning how the world works. We're all still figuring out kind of what we want from life. And I think that going to Georgia, that's going to be something that cannot be lost on me or like anyone who goes to college. So.
Yeah, I'm sure even soccer aside, you guys are going to be incredibly successful. Though I'm very excited to watch you guys play. And thanks again for jumping in here. I wanted to give you the last word. You've been exactly where these players are right now. Dominating at a high school level and getting ready to go to the next level, the ACC rather than the SEC. When you look at them, what do you see?
Well, I just want to say thanks to you guys because us old people have this cynical viewpoint of the younger generation that everyone's just so shallow and, selfish and just doesn't get it. And you two clearly get it in a lot of different ways. I love your curiosity about the world around you and thinking outside of soccer, but you also seem to really understand that inner working team dynamic thing, the things that matter. And you're clearly not selfish people, and you've obviously got some people around you that are holding you to that. And
Absolutely.
I have a reason to watch University of Georgia soccer now, so I'm excited about that. So thanks for letting me be along for the ride here for the last hour and some change.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, look again, guys. This has been amazing, and I guess you guys aren't going to be playing. They'll be playing club, so maybe at some point, Anna and I can come and watch you guys play club or something. In the meantime, until I guess next fall we'll be able to watch you in the SEC. But again, this has been amazing. I'm so glad that we did it. Great to meet you guys. Let's keep in touch and best of luck with all you guys do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was amazing. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.